welcome back to my channel. This is my second video and today's topic is remote learning, online learning, however you want to put it. I wanted to do this video because I feel like this is kind of a topic that we're all kind of struggling with for quite some time now due to COVID. We're all kind of pushed into this online learning situation and a lot of us don't really like it, a lot of us wish it would end. But obviously we have to think about it in the greater scale. You know, what's important is people's health, and you know, if that means that we have to stay at home and learn online, then it is what it is. But you kind of have to just make it work for you. And you know, it was a little hard for me to find a way to be successful during this online period. I obviously personally don't really enjoy online classes, and you know, it can be difficult because you lose a lot of motivation. But other than that, I give you guys some tips of, you know, lessons that I learned from my half a semester online. So here are my tips, and number one is that you should still go to bed early. I know that sounds a little redundant or crazy to say because obviously we all kind of know that we should stick to a sleep schedule, but you know, during this time for online classes, especially if you're not used to online classes, being at home all the time can kind of ruin your sleep schedule, because then you're more prone to naps and you're more prone to like being on your phone late at night, and then it just kind of goes downhill from there, because then you're not getting enough sleep, either because you sleep too much during the day or you don't sleep enough at night. And then when you don't get enough sleep, then you start losing like focus and motivation in your classes, because you don't willingly want to wake up to go to class. And by go to class I mean log on your computer and attend a meeting. But at the end of the day, I still think that it's extremely important to keep your sleep schedule. I'm saying it from experience. After my university decided that they were going to go remote learning for the rest of the semester, I think the first week or two was a little rough. I remember waking up, and I had a 9 a.m. class at the time, and I was waking up at like 8:50 or 8:40. Please do not do that. And that goes into tip 2. Do not wake up 10-20 minutes before your class starts. And the reason behind that is because when you log into class, if you wake up 10 or 20 minutes before class and you log in, you're not going to be truly awake. And that's mainly because it takes your body like a couple of minutes to fully wake up. And usually when you have this notion of you have in-person classes, what you do is that you wake up and you get ready and then you go to class, and by the time that you do this whole like motion of waking up, getting ready, walking to class, sitting down, like all of this kind of wakes you up. But when you kind of just wake up 10-20 minutes and you're still in your bed and you just open your laptop and you go into your meeting for class, you're still probably half asleep. And that means that by the time that you fully wake up, you're probably missing a good percentage of your curriculum, and that's when you start getting lost. That's why this tip was number 1, because I think sleeping goes hand in hand with how you do in school. The less you sleep, the more deteriorated or the more tired you are, and then that's when like you go from being like way up here, and then you go kind of like, it declines. Obviously, the less sleep, the more your motivation declines. And when your motivation kind of goes to like rock bottom, I would say, that's when it gets a little tough, because you have to kind of bring yourself back from it, and you have to like realize, okay, I need to get it together. And so that's why this is tip number 1, because sleep is extremely important. So always stick with a sleep schedule as much as you can. Number 2 is that you should not take your classes from your bed. And yes, again, I say that from experience, especially if you wake up 10-20 minutes, maybe even less, to go into class. That means that you're going into class, and if you're taking it from your bed, you're most likely going to fall back asleep. And if you fall back asleep, you're going to lose a lot of curriculum, a lot of material that you're probably going to need for exams or just information that you may need in general. And then that's going to mess you up in further topics, because the teacher will be like, well, you remember when I mentioned this from chapter 8, and you don't remember that at all. Why? Because you were sleeping. And it's not anybody's fault. It's just the issue. Like, when you're not used to being in online classes, you kind of don't know what to do. So that's tip number 2. Try to find a place where, whether it be a desk, whether it be your kitchen table, anywhere where you kind of sit upright, because sitting upright for some reason kind of wakes you up. So it's definitely better than laying on your bed or like sitting on your bed, because then you have your pillows and you have your blanket. The temperature might be just right to go to sleep. So it's a little difficult, and that's why I don't suggest anybody mess up their sleep schedule, because then they're losing a lot of material in their classes, and as that happens, that's when you start getting lost. And now tip number 3 is that, for example, I tend to be a planner, so I love planning, and I live by planners. I've loved planners for I don't know how many years now, and actually I will be doing a review of this planner in the next video, because especially if you're a nurse, this planner is godlike. I love it. I know I haven't really written anything yet because I'm not in nursing school just yet, but just going through it, like, I know it's just going to be so amazing, and it's going to be so helpful in so many ways. And you know, even if you don't get this planner, even if you just use another planner that you might like, planning is so important. And the reason why I say planning is so important is because it's kind of easy to forget things, especially when you don't have, not the motivation, but when you don't have that feeling that you need to get it done. And I say that because when you're in online classes, or at least in this moment where we kind of all got put in online classes, if you didn't choose it by choice, you're kind of in this limbo where you're like, I don't want to do anything because I hate online classes, or I just can't concentrate. And that's normal, but it's just, if you want to stay on track, the most important thing I definitely think is to plan. And like I said, I will do a review on this planner, but just go day by day in your planner and write what you need to do and cross it off when you finish it, because there's some sort of satisfaction that comes with the feeling of, okay, I finished it and I'm done and it's over. So definitely plan. And I say this with my whole heart because I love planning, and I'm sure that once you get into it, you're gonna love it as well. I tell people all the time, like, I can't live without my planner. If I don't have my planner, then my life is a mess, and that's just personally me. But I honestly find it so helpful that I just want you guys to know to take into consideration, if you don't plan already, definitely do so. Another tip is actually, I think another issue that probably we all have is that we are a little addicted to our phones, and even when we're in in-person classes, it can be a little difficult to not look at our phones, but we kind of do it out of either respect for the teacher, or because like we're like really into the topic, or because we're struggling so we don't want to miss in anything. But when we're at home and we have the laptop and you can turn off your camera and nobody's really looking at you, it's really easy for you to slip. And I say that because I think phones overall are a huge distraction, and personally I think it's a distraction for me. So what I learned a little bit into online learning was that my best thing to do, like when I'm in classes, it's either I put my phone in airplane mode so I don't get any notifications that may tempt me to go on Instagram, Twitter, or whatever. That's one thing that I do. Another thing is that you can also mute conversations. Like if you are in a lot of group chats and maybe your friends from your class are texting in a group chat and you're having a really hard time with the material that your teacher's talking about online and they're texting in the group chat, your best bet is to mute the group chat. And that's because, I mean, personally, when I see a notification, I like to respond to it. So if I see somebody talking, then my instinct is I have to pick up my phone and respond. So that's why those two things are extremely important. You can either put your phone on airplane mode, or you can mute conversations that may be going on during your class time. A lot of people put their phones on Do Not Disturb. That may be helpful as well. I personally just either I put my phone on airplane mode or I mute conversations, and I found it really helpful because definitely at first, as I was transitioning into this online period, I got really used to having my phone and like it being there all the time, or that I can just like pick it up and grab it and look through stuff. And especially at the time, I had lost not a lot of motivation, but it was just a really difficult transition personally for me. I really despise online classes. I'm more of an in-person type of person, so it's kind of hard for me to transition. And as I was transitioning, I kind of felt like everything that I did for in-person classes was kind of useless. And then after like a week or two, like I mentioned, I realized like, you know, everything that I do when I have in-person classes is still really useful when it's online. It's just you have to modify it and to fit the circumstances. So that's another tip, to put your phone down, try not to pay attention to it. And the last tip is that I still suggest you scheduling yourself. If you did it when you were in in-person classes and you would schedule, let's say you had a 2-hour break and during that time you were going to study, or you had a 2-hour break and in that time you were going to eat, just maintain your scheduling. Just because that way you don't lose it in the case you go back to in-person, but it also holds you accountable because you have this scheduling of, I have to do between my 2-hour break from this class and the next, I was going to study, and then the other 2-hour break that I had, or half an hour break, whichever amount of break you have, I was going to eat. And so it's just really important to maintain your scheduling, and I say that because it holds you accountable in the sense that you're not all over the place, and it's easy to be all over the place when you're taking online classes because like I said, a part of you knows that you should be paying attention, but also a part of you is like, I'm at home and I'm relaxed and this is my chill zone, so I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. And that's why it's really important to schedule even if you are online, because maybe it'll even keep you busy. Personally, I stopped scheduling because I just felt like I didn't need a schedule, because I was like, I can eat whenever I want, or I can do this whenever I want. At the end of the day, I'm going to be home all day, so I'll get to it eventually. I start to forget. Like, I would usually study for a class between a 2-hour period, and I wasn't doing that. And so when I stopped doing that, it really kind of showed. All the tips that I gave you guys in this video, I think, are just really important, and maybe you already know them, but I would really just think about them and implement them in your daily routine, because it is definitely important, especially if you are going to stay online during the fall. You don't want to have any setbacks. You wouldn't want to fail a class, or you wouldn't want to go into it kind of like blindsided. I would really suggest thinking the things that work for you and how you manage your life, because at the end of the day, you kind of know what will work for you and what's going to make you successful. All of the tips that I told you in today's video are what kind of personally works for me, and I shared them because I think it's kind of universal in the sense that it can work for everybody. And if you kind of just hold yourself accountable, like, hey, I'm going to bed too late, or I'm not remembering to plan, so I'm forgetting when to do my homework or when to do a quiz or when to study, or I'm using my phone too much in class, which has caused me to lose a lot of material because I'm not paying attention. It's things that you may think are kind of obvious, but at the end of the day, I struggled with them, and I know a lot of people struggle with them at the same time. So it's just really important. My biggest tip for you is just always hold yourself accountable. You know what you can and cannot do. At the end of the day, this is college, what we're talking about, so we're kind of all on our own in the sense that we have to find out what works for us and what doesn't work for us. The whole purpose of this video is to kind of give you guys some tips of things that I came across that I was struggling with, and I'm sure it can be useful for anybody that may have to still take online classes in the fall and didn't do so well the first time around in the spring when we were all kind of forced to take online classes. But for now, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Remember, please do not forget, if you guys have any questions for my Q&A video, or if you have any science topics, and now that I mentioned this remote learning, distance learning issue, there was a topic in spring semester that you actually weren't able to grasp very well because of remote learning or online classes, and you just want me to review it a little bit because you just kind of want to know the basis of it, please do not hesitate to comment it in the comment section. So keep those two things in mind. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I love you guys. Bye. Bloopers. Alright. Let's get it started. Trips. I meant to say tips. Oh my god.